Now we're going to start working on some of the problems together. You should have your book open to page 89, but on top of your book, I want you to put your composition workbook. Remember, your composition notebook is the notebook that you've been taking your notes in this entire time. You don't have any printed notes for today, so don't think you missed anything. But go ahead and open up to page 5, and we're going to title it Division by One-Digit Divisors. So I'll go ahead and write that up here. Division by one-digit divisors. Go ahead and write that at the top of page 5. And we're going to write the first 3 problems in our composition notebook as our notes for division by one-digit divisors. So go ahead and pause this video here if you need to write that in. But we are going to move on. Remember the first 3 problems. I want them written in your composition notebook as notes. So let's go ahead with number 1. Number 1 says 457 divided by 4. So let's write it out. 457 divided by 4. When you're writing this in your composition notebook, I want you to write it both ways. I want to see that you have it written out straight and that you have it written with our division house. So let's divide. We can write our note if we need to. Does McDonald's sell burgers? We're going to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. So let's divide. 4 divided by 4 we know is 1. Time to multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. Time to subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. Make sure you're doing this along with me. Time to bring down our 5. How many times does 4 go into 5? We know that 5 divided by 4 would be 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Time to subtract again. 5 minus 4 is 1. And we need to bring down our 7. 17 divided by 4 will give us 4. Because 4 times 4 is 16. And let's subtract. 17 minus 16 is 1. 114 remainder 1 should be your answer. Make sure you have this copied neatly into your notebook so that if you ever have questions, you can look back at it. Let's move on to number 2. 1,035 divided by 5. Let's write it out. 1,035 divided by 5. So if I'm looking at my place value, I see that I have 5 can't go into a 1. 1 can't be divided by 5. So I know there's not going to be anything in that thousands place. It's very important to keep things neat and orderly when you're dividing. Otherwise, you're going to have numbers everywhere and confuse yourself. So now we can say 10 divided by 5. 5 can go into 10 2 times because 2 times 5 is 10. Make sure they're stacked up neatly. Mine can kind of slant because of how I'm writing, but you can move your book so you can write a little straighter. Now it's time to subtract. 10 minus 10 is 0. Make sure you're writing it in your notebook. And bring that 3 down. So 5 can't go into 3. You can't say 3 divided by 5. If I have the number 3, I can't break it into 5 pieces until we get to fractions and decimals, but we're not there yet. So I know I'm going to have to put a 0 in the tens place because 5 can't go into 3. Make sure you put that 0 there. It's very important. 0 times 5 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Let's bring down that last number. I also see a lot of people that don't draw the arrow. It may seem silly, but it will really help you keep your numbers straight. So try to draw that arrow every time. 5 can go into 35. If I count by 5s, I know that's 7 times. And 7 times 5 is 35. And we have no remainder. So our answer for number 2 is 207. Make sure you work that out correctly and have it written in your notebook. And let's move on to number 3. Number 3 says 1,766 divided by 8. Let's write it out. 1,766 divided by 8. I want you to take a minute to work this out in your notebook by yourself and come back to me and we'll go over it. All right, let's go over this problem. 8 goes into 17. 17 divided by 8 would give us 2 because 2 times 8 is 16. Time to subtract. 17 minus 16 is 1. Bring down that 6. Same problem again. 8 can go into 16. I know that's 2 times because we just did that. So 2 times 8 is 16. 16 minus 16 is 0. And let's bring down that 6. 8 can't go into 6. So I know I'm going to have to say 8 can go into 6 0 times. And 0 times 8 is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. So our answer is 220, remainder 6. I hope you got the right answer. It's time to move on to the next problems. So for number 4, what you're going to do is I want you to work it out in your book. And once you work out number 4, you're going to come back and you're going to check your answer with me as we go over it. So go ahead and do number 4, just number 4. All right, let's check number 4. We've got 275 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 2, but 8 can go into 27. So 8 can go into 27 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 27 minus 24 is 3. Make sure you're following along with me with your work. I hope you kept your work really neat so that if you have the wrong answer, you can see where you went wrong. So make sure your work is neat and you're following along with me. Let's go ahead and bring down that 5. 8 can go into 35 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. 35 minus 32 is 3. So my answer is 34, remainder 3. I hope you got the right answer. Let's move on to number 5. Again, for number 5, I want you to go work it out in your book. Keep your notes or your work really neat. If you need to work out on a separate piece of paper, that's totally fine. Just make sure it's neat. Just as a hint to make things easier, if you want to turn your paper to the side, that gives you some nice straight lines to keep your division nice and straight. I know I can't see your work, but it's very important that it's neat. So go work out number 5, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, time to go over number 5. We've got 468 divided by 3. Now this one's a little bit different because I can say 4 divided by 3, or how many times does 3 go into 4? I know that 3 can go into 4 one time. Let's bring that down just a little bit. There we go. 1 times 3 is 3. Make sure you're checking your work along with me to make sure you got the right answer. 4 minus 3 is 1. Let's go ahead and bring down that 6. 3 can go into 16 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 16 minus 15 is 1. I hope you're still with me. Bring down that 8. 18 divided by 3. You can bring back your does McDonald's sell burgers if you need to. So we just subtracted, or we just brought down. So it's time to divide again. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So your answer is 156. I hope you got the right answer. Time to move on to number 6. Again, with number 6, I want you to go do it in your book or on a separate piece of paper and come back to me once you have your answer. Let's go over number 6. Number 6 says 3,220 divided by 4. So we know that 3 can't divide by 4. If I have 3, I can't divide it into 4 pieces until we do fractions and decimals. So there's no number going there. 4 can go into 32 8 times because 8 times 4 is 32. If we subtract, we're going to get a 0 there. Let's bring down our 2. I know that I can't say 2 divided by 4. That's not going to work. So we have to put a 0. Remember to put your 0 We carried down our 2, so we put a 0 over the tens place because that's where the 2 was. Now, 0 times 4 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. And let's bring down that second 0, or that first 0. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Again, take a note that my 5 goes right above the number that I just brought down. That should help you keep your numbers in line as well. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. So our answer is 805. I hope you got the right answer. Let's move on to number 7. Again, for number 7, you're going to go work it out in your book or on a separate piece of paper and meet me back here to go over it. Let's go over number 7. 618 divided by 6. You know, this would be a fun one to have done a mental math challenge on. Can you mentally figure out how many times 6 could go into 618? That would be quite the challenge. But let's work it out the long way. I know that 6 can go into 6 one time, and 1 times 6 is 6. Now we've got 6 minus 6 is 0. I hope you're keeping up. Check your work. Let's bring down our 1. 6 can't go into 1. If I have one thing, I can't divide it into 6 pieces. So I have to put my 0 there. Take a note that I brought down the 1, so the 0 goes right above the 1. 0 times 6 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. And let's go ahead and bring down that 8. So I know that 6 can go into 18 3 times because 18 divided by 6 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. My answer there is 0. So our answer for this problem is 103. Now, if you had done that with mental math, I think it would have been interesting because you would know that 6 could go into 600 100 times, and then 6 goes into 18 3 times. So your answer would be 103. That's a good way to challenge yourself if you're ready. Let's look at number 8 together. Number 8 says, Ryan earned $376 by working for 4 days. If he earned the same amount each day, how much could he earn working for 5 days? So the first thing we need to think about for this problem is how much did he earn in 1 day? That's the first thing we need to figure out before we can even think about 5 days. So we know that he earned $376 for 4 days. So we're going to take that money that he earned and we're going to divide it up by the number of days that he worked, which was 4. So let's go ahead and do this division problem together. Be writing it down in your book so you're keeping up with me. We know that 4 can't go into 3. I can't take 3 things and divide them by 4. So we're not going to put a number there. 4 can go into 37 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. Now let's subtract. 37 minus 36 is 1. Let's bring down our 6. 16 divided by 4 gives us 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and we have no remainder. So we know that in 1 day he earned $94. I'm wondering if I did my math right. I wonder how we could check it. I think we should multiply 94 times 4 to check our work. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 1 is 37. We got our dividend. Therefore, I know I did it correctly. So now we've got 1 day is $94. Let's go back to our problem and remember what they were asking us. They were asking us for 5 days. So if 1 day is 94, I know I need to multiply 94 times 5 to get me to 5 days. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 9 is 45, 46, 47. So in 5 days, he would earn $470. All right, we're done going over our work for right now. So what I want you to think about is you are going to go ahead and take your quiz. Now remember, this quiz isn't a grade, so if you're struggling, it's okay. What I do with this quiz is I take your answers and I divide you into your 4 groups. So the people that missed some questions will be together, and the people that got them all right will be together. And that kind of your grade kind of, what you're doing, in your small groups will kind of depend on that grade. So if you're getting them correct and I think you understand it, I'll give you more challenging things to do in small groups that we can do together. And if you're not doing as well and I don't think you understand it, then we'll work through more problems together tomorrow. Remember, when you come back to the meeting, you should have your independent work pages done. You will see those independent work pages on the last slide of the Nearpod, and you will see them after the quiz. So make sure you're getting those done before you come to me in the Google Meet so that we can make sure to go over those problems together. All right, if you have any questions, I'm still in the Google Meet, and go ahead and get working on that Google quiz. Good luck.